I used to open our garage door and I could instantly feel my stress levels rising. I knew I would have to tackle it all one day, but I kept closing the door shut, putting it off for another day, until I learned what an effect that garage clutter was having on my anxiety and my mental load. So I started getting rid of items here and there, boxing them up, selling some of them, taking out the recycling, and with each box or bin bag leaving that space, I could feel a bit of the weight being lifted, like I could breathe a bit easier. It was a while into my decluttering journey that I read about the concept of the silent to-do list, and it all made sense to me. I read about this concept in the book Goodbye Things by Fumio Sasaki. It's this idea that all of these things, these items that we have in our house, are constantly sending us messages. So it might be things like boxes that say recycle me, clothes thrown on the floor that say wash me, your windows saying clean me, the dust on the furniture saying give me a wipe, those pre-pregnancy clothes that hang in the bottom of your wardrobe that make you feel bad. I know I used to have items like that from, before getting pregnant. So all of these messages, clean me, tidy, organize me, return me, replace me, gotten this item for a hobby you said you would use but you haven't used me. All of these messages can add onto our mental to-do. Some can be positive messages, right? Having items that you love looking at that bring you joy, but a lot of the times, especially if our homes are filled with clutter, you can get loads of these negative messages every single day from all of these little items, even if sometimes we don't even consciously realize this. And that is why clutter can feel so stressful. That is why it can make us feel on edge. That's also why decluttering can have such a positive effect. It can give you such a good feeling. That's not better, is it? Because you're essentially just removing those items and reducing your mental load. That's why when we go to a hotel room, it feels so nice and inviting because it's a clean slate. There's nothing for you to do in there. There's no laundry, there's no dishes, there's no piles of stuff of paper clutter that needs you to address. And of course, it's also the fact that you have time off work usually, but the space itself feels so inviting because of that, because it's clear of all of those negative messages from the silent to-do list. There's also been a lot of studies that show that clutter can affect our stress and anxiety levels. One study done on couples living in cluttered, stressful homes found, interestingly enough, that the women in the family had higher cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone. So they were affected by the clutter a lot more than their partners generally. So that might be why sometimes, you feel like you're the only one who's noticing all the clutter and all the stuff in your house, whereas your partner or your family might be a little bit unbothered by it. It's because it's actually affecting us a lot more than we sometimes realize. I remember being pregnant over a year ago, walking into the kitchen, opening my mug cupboard, having a bunch of water bottles fall out of the cupboard as I opened it. I would shift away the mugs that I disliked because I wanted to find one that I actually enjoy using. I would then walk in the hallway, which was often filled with stuff on the floor. I would stumble on toys in the living room, and all of these little things kept adding to my stress levels throughout the day. I found that I had less patience. I sometimes couldn't focus as well if my environment was super cluttered and I was trying to do some laptop work. It was affecting me way more than I realized. And of course, having children and a young family means there is going to be mess around. It's impossible to have it always clean. That's not really the goal here. The goal is to have an easy to tidy home, one that's easy to manage, so that when I do want to tidy it, I do want a clear space, it doesn't take me hours upon hours. It's usually like a 10-15 minute job. So let's do a fun experiment together. Right now, where you're watching this, look around the room and find 3 items that are sending you messages. Things that you have to do, like clean me, organize me, recycle me, return me. Find those items that are whispering tasks to you and comment them down below. I would love to hear from you. And if you are finding value in this, consider subscribing. I promise it won't clutter up your feed. But some of the items that I had that were kind of whispering those messages to me, those things that would add on my silent to-do list, I had parcels that needed to be taken to the post office, clothes that needed to be donated, birthday invites that needed to be answered, jeans from before getting pregnant that I couldn't fit into yet. All of these items were constantly sending me messages and often making me feel bad about myself, about my body, about the fact that I couldn't keep on top of all of these things. So what can we do about this? Well, we can simply start decluttering them. It doesn't have to be this massive undertaking. I started by doing small 15-minute declutters at a time. I would do bigger ones when I had the chance, but for the most part, it was little things here and there. It was a cutlery drawer, my jeans, my t-shirts, the kids' pajamas, small things here and there. Within a year or so, my home was completely transformed. And if it's things that are postpartum items or items before pregnancy that you maybe want to keep in case you do fit into one day, you could either choose to declutter them and acknowledge that probably if you do get back to that shaped body, you will likely want to buy other items again, because we do often want to reward ourselves when we do reach a goal or reach a change that we've been wanting. Or you can keep them, but perhaps keep them in a storage bin somewhere else other than your daily wardrobe, so you don't actually see them every day and get those negative messages making you feel bad about your body. So those are just a few ideas. Another thing I found really helpful is reading the 2-minute rule. So if there is a task that you see and it takes less than 2 minutes to do, like replying to a birthday invite, putting something in the recycling, putting a cutting board away, anything that takes very little time, just do it right then and there. I find that the more I do this, the less overwhelmed I feel, because there are not a million little tasks around my home to do every single day, all day long. Now, the goal of this is not to reduce our to-do list to zero, because that's going to be impossible, especially if you have little children like myself. But the goal is, when you look around your house, you see maybe 3-5 things that you have to do in this room or that you have to tackle soon, but it's not hundreds of items requiring your attention and sending you negative messages and making you feel bad about yourself, about your house. The goal is to move away from that, to get more of a calm feeling. If you do need some extra help with this, I do have a freebie for you. It's my simple declutter checklist. There have been over 30,000 people who have downloaded this, and I get so many people saying it's been helpful. So if you do need some extra help, that will be linked in the description box. But honestly, decluttering changed my life. It made me a calmer person. It made me a less overstimulated person. It made me a more present mom. It made me slowed down my shopping, my life, and it made me appreciate what I have a lot more. So I do have this sneaky feeling that it might just do the same for you. Yeah, the thing is, we will always have stuff to do, but the less that we have on our to-do list or in our visual clutter space, the more we can relax and enjoy the things that matter most to us. I do hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!